Today on America's Court with Judge Ross.
Who bumped the table?
I bumped the table.
And did the statute fall as a result of you bumping the table?
Yes, it did, Your Honor.
And why did you bump the table?
Because Mr. Wannabe Biker over here was getting aggressive with me.
In my courtroom, it's about equity, fairness. You want him to pay $628?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, knock my socks off. Justice should be more than just some foreign concept. I actually want you to learn something. The law talks about something may in fact be true, but can they prove it? And that's what's tough.
Fair, firm, compassionate. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Amelia Castillo claims her ex-husband crashed their daughter's quinceañera and says a statue was broken as a result of his disruptive behavior. Ms. Castillo is suing Michael Benitez in the amount of $1,000.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
All parties be sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Deputy Thomas. Ms. Castillo, you've been having some issues with your ex-husband.
Yes, Your Honor.
And I understand you feel as though you should be paid $1,000 for him allegedly breaking a statute.
Yes.
What happened?
He and I were together for about a year, got married, had a daughter. We divorced when she was about 5. We don't talk very much.
Because?
We did not split.
Oil and water just doesn't
yeah,
mix.
it was just too much, so I can't.
Even as it relates to, what's your daughter's name?
Her name is Naya?
Naya?
Yes.
And how old is Naya now?
Naya is now, she's 16 now.
Okay.
At the time of the incident, she was 15.
Okay.
It was for her quinceañera.
Okay.
So this took, it's a huge party, so it takes a lot of planning.
Right.
So I've been planning this since December.
And for those who don't know, a quinceañera in Latin culture is sort of a coming of age for a young lady.
Yeah. She's becoming
with
a
the
woman.
dress and the family, and there's a whole presentation and celebration and food, and it's a milestone.
Right.
Right? Mr. Benitez, you were also at the quinceañera.
Correct.
Right. You said the two of you don't talk often. Was there any conversation about this major milestone? For
No,
you?
he actually wasn't even invited.
She didn't invite me, Your Honor.
So he wasn't even supposed to be there.
Why not?
Just because I knew he would come and make a big deal and try to take all the credit for all the work. He did nothing. He didn't help pay for anything. I paid for everything. I paid for the food. I found the venue. My family helped me.
Did you ever ask Naya if she wanted her dad there?
No, I did not, Your Honor.
Any particular reason why?
I didn't want it to be. It wasn't an option. She had input on who else got invited, but just not her. I didn't want her father there.
Mr. Benitez, talk to me. What's going on?
Your Honor, I've always had a problem with this woman. You know, since we first got together. She a specific way, Your Honor. You know, everything has to be organized, just like the kids.
I like being organized.
The kids there, they weren't having a good time, and it was good. It was a good thing that I showed up.
Well, I thought you weren't invited, though.
I was invited. I have proof my daughter invited me.
Did you tell Miss Castillo that Naya wants you to be there?
No, I didn't want to tell her.
It's really tough when you're co-parenting and you're not communicating with each other.
He didn't let me know at all.
I knew what she was going to say, Your Honor. She didn't want me there. She doesn't want me in our daughter's life. She needs a father. Naya needs a father. She's sad.
I don't mind if you're in her life. I don't want you in my life.
But it's her event.
Yes.
And typically, dads oftentimes escort the young lady, right?
Exactly.
Who ended up escorting her?
I was going to let my brother escort her.
This is your brother?
Yes.
Sir, coming up. And you are also Mr. Castillo?
Yes.
You were back to using your maiden name.
Yes.
And, brother, what's going on? What have you observed, or why are you here testifying?
When he showed up uninvited, of course, my niecey wanted him to stay. And he's constantly doing this, playing the child, my niece, against the mom, trying to cause conflict. He was up in the DJ
He was
booth.
commanding the waiters, telling them what to do. He was trying to tell the DJ what music to play. So he basically just showed up and tried to take over. I wanted him to leave before my daughter saw that he was there. She came over, she saw him.
And what was her reaction?
She was excited. She was happy that he was.
She wanted him there.
She did want him there, yes.
You saw that.
Yes.
And at that point, what was your reaction?
I said, okay, I will let him stay. She went back over to her friends. I told him aside, I said,
look,
you can stay. I said, you can stay, but only until after the dances, and then you have to go.
You recall that conversation?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Castillo, were you present when your sister had that conversation?
Yes, we had the conversation before he had gone into the event center.
You were clear that that's what you were going to do?
That's what I said I would do.
Okay, so you knew at that moment you had no intentions of leaving afterwards.
Yes, Your Honor.
You were going to cause a problem.
Not cause a problem, I just wanted to stay for my daughter.
Coming up on America's Court.
Did your ex-brother-in-law escort you out?
You can call it that. More like bullied me out.
Okay.
Not bullying.
All right.
And later,
I was hoping Michael would come out for 2 hours. He would have 50
Well, you weren't
bucks.
hoping because you paid
I did, yes.
for 2 hours.
Well, it turns out he didn't stay there for 2 hours.
closed captioning provided by. If you'll be in the Los Angeles area and want to bring your case to court, call 1-888-552-6878. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Amelia Castillo, who is suing Michael Benitez for property damage.
We're at the party. You come in, instead of just sitting there and taking it all in, what happens? Do you start ordering the DJ to play certain music?
I don't order him. I mean, I'm trying to get these 15-year-old kids who are at a party to have a good time.
And everybody's probably on their phones
They were
instead
having
of
a
Frowns on their
time.
faces, on their phones.
not dan- I don't know what it is about this generation right now, but they don't engage. I think they're so used to engaging online that when they get in public, they don't know what to do with each other. So everyone just goes to their phones and they're texting each other and liking, but they're all at the same event.
Yeah. What's that happening? Yes.
And that what was going on?
There was a little bit of that, but for the most part, everyone was having a good time. Everyone was eating. Everyone was laughing. It was a party.
Okay.
There's only so much. I mean, my organization doesn't make a party boring. There was still music and food.
Everything had to be done in a specific time, specific order.
It's a
and
quinceañera.
you gotta have a little bit of fun.
There was a program.
Yeah,
There was
right.
a protocol as to what was going to happen.
Yeah.
And you were disrupting that. I get it. Ultimately, is there a situation where you leave and that's where the problem
No,
arose?
he wasn't getting ready to leave. He was planning on staying, and I said, you know, the dances are over. Now it's time for you to go. And he was refusing to leave, and that's when I asked my brother to come over and help me escort him out.
And then what happened? Did your ex-brother-in-law escort you out?
You can call it that. More like bullied me out.
Okay.
Not bullying.
All right. And that's where the $1,000 comes in because
Yeah.
something was
He's
damaged.
escorting him out, and we get out of the ballroom. It's in a hotel. We get out of the ballroom. There's a big table in the middle with a statue on it, and he's trying to get my brother to.
You're physically
Back up.
manhandling him.
No, sir. No, Your Honor.
Yes.
Inside of the ballroom,
Yes.
I was like a gentleman. I put my arm around him. You know, we go way back.
No.
Your Honor.
It did not happen that way.
Judge Kevin Ross.
No.
Were you there?
Michael, I don't need to be there to understand the dynamics of what was going on if something ended up getting damaged. It was not this gingerly, Michael, if you can follow me this way, you're going to be escorted out. And here's the thing. The thing about it is, I'm not blaming you or faulting you because if your sister said, I need you to handle this, that's what brothers do.
That's what brothers do.
So be real and honest with me. You were
The
resisting.
second we walk out the door, he throws his arms up, starts making his dramatic scene.
That makes sense to me because everyone's
My
now
arm comes
riled up.
flying. I get kind of thrown off balance as he's coming out the door. The door shuts to prevent any scenes inside the event.
Yeah.
So
He
like,
throws my arm off. That's when the table got bumped and the statue was broken.
All right. Who bumped the table?
I bumped the table.
And did the statue fall as a result of you bumping the table?
Yes, it did, Your Honor.
And why did you bump the table?
Because Mr. Wannabe Biker over here was getting aggressive with me.
And you were trying to somehow break free from him brotherly escorting you out.
Correct.
All right. And you end up in breaking free, bumping and destroying this statue.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the statue cost $1,000.
Yes.
You have proof of that.
Yes. Oh, I don't have proof of it costing $1,000, but I do have the contract. They kept my $1,000 security deposit.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Why shouldn't you have to pay this money, Mr.
And I have the picture of him giving a speech that he was not invited to give.
All right. Well, I mean, we know he was there. I don't need to see him, a photograph of him talking on a microphone. Did you have anything to drink that day, sir?
I may have had a few drinks.
That's a yes. Okay. All right. They kept your security deposit.
kept
Why
my
shouldn't you have to pay that?
Because it wasn't my fault.
I got it. Anything else?
I mean, he wasn't supposed to be there in the first place. I paid for the whole party.
Somebody has to pay the $1,000. You contributed no money to the actual event. Something was damaged. Was Mr. Castillo the reason that the property got damaged?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Was your sister the reason why the property got damaged?
Well, if she wouldn't have had him escort me out, it wouldn't have
Okay.
happened.
So your feeling is they're both responsible for the property being damaged?
Correct.
Okay. Anything else?
That's pretty much it.
All right. Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, you're wrong. And the gavel will come down in favor of the plaintiff in this case.
That's not right.
It's not about being right. There's damage. Someone has to be responsible. Ultimately, it's her call to say you cannot come to this event. And you come anyway, and something's damaged as a result of your action, you're responsible for that. Because you could have said, I will throw her my own party, or we will have our own moment, because I don't want to be disrespectful of your mother because she is raising you. And she lives with her right now, right?
Correct.
Okay. And do you have a good relationship with your daughter?
Yes.
Okay. Well, you're going to have to keep being respectful of mom and developing the relationship. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, Your Honor.
Judgment for $1,000 to the plaintiff. That is the order. Case closed.
All rise.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $1,000.
At least my ex paid for something for our daughter's party. After all, he did show up uninvited.
As her father, I had a right to be at her quinceañera.
Coming up on America's Court with Judge Ross.
Did you tell Mr. Freeman I'm leaving because you didn't tell me that Richard was also going to be here?
I said that I'm gonna leave right now because I don't like the whole crowd.
That's not what I said.
Closed captioning provided by America's Court with Judge Ross. Anthony Freeman claims the defendant was supposed to sign autographs at his comic book store for 2 hours, but left halfway through the event. Mr. Freeman is suing Michael Roy in the amount of $300.
Mr. Freeman, talk to me, sir. Prove your case.
Your Honor, I own an independent comic book store. I own it for 5 years, and every year we have an event. It's on an International Free Comic Book Day.
And is this something that happens annually?
Yes, first Saturday each May.
So first Saturday of every May,
Yeah.
comics book companies and stands across the country give free comics to patrons.
That's correct. That's across the world.
And this is a thing.
It is a thing, yes.
Oh, I learn something new every day. And Mr. Roy, you actually write comics, correct?
Yeah, I draw them,
You
write
illustrate and write as well.
Yeah.
How is it that you came in contact with Mr. Roy?
I saw his work, and I think he's a very talented artist. And I invited him for an event to make more fans, to present his work.
And was there going to be a fee for your presence, or were you just going to sell your comics?
There was a fee, yes.
And the fee was how much?
$300.
Is that what you proposed, that he would get $300?
That is correct. In fact, I paid it up front.
And how much of his time did $300 warrant?
2 hours.
And what was the expectation, Mr. Freeman, that you had once Mr. Roy arrived there?
So I had Michael. I was hoping Michael would come out for 2 hours. He would have 50
Well, you weren't
books.
hoping because you paid $300
I paid, yes.
for 2 hours.
Well, it turns out he didn't stay there for 2 hours.
Coming up on America's Court.
It was exactly, out of all artists,
Your one nemesis.
one nemesis was there, yes.
Closed captioning provided by America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Anthony Freeman, who is suing Michael Roy for breach of contract.
What time did you arrive, Mr. Roy?
I read at 10 exactly.
And what time did you leave?
I left at 11.
Why did you only stay for an hour?
I wasn't aware that my partner would be there too. And
Wait, who are we talking about?
we're talking about Richard White. He used to be my partner when I was little. We used to draw comic books together.
And it didn't end well, I take it.
It didn't, yeah.
Okay.
It was hell.
And did you tell Mr. Roy that the Richard gentleman was going to be there?
I did not.
Why would you deliberately keep that from him?
It wasn't deliberately. It was just I couldn't think of all the feelings that Michael would have.
This was an innocent oversight?
Correct.
Do you feel as though it was an innocent oversight?
It was just a little shady because it was exactly out of all artists in this industry,
Your one nemesis
was there, yes.
Why is there bad blood?
When it all fell apart, we shared the same business, the same money together, and then at some point he just bailed on me and
took the money?
Took the money, yes.
Did you try to recover the money, or?
I tried, but at that point I was a little, newbie, and we didn't have an exact contract that states that, so I couldn't really
You
retrieve
didn't feel as though you would prevail if you tried to sue him or something?
Yes.
Okay. Did you tell Mr. Freeman, I'm leaving because you didn't tell me that Richard was also going to be here?
I said that I'm gonna leave right now because I don't like the whole crowd obstructing me.
That's not what I said. Did he ever mention to you, Mr. Freeman?
No.
I got an issue with Richard. I can't be in the same space as him.
No.
What did he say to you?
He said, I'm leaving. That's it. That's what I heard.
And he just packed up and left.
Exactly.
Judge Ross's verdict when America's Court returns. Promotional consideration provided by America's Court with Judge Ross.
So did you say, since I stayed for an hour, I'll give you 150?
Did I say that?
Yes.
No.
Why not?
Because I just left. There were too many people, I couldn't even say anything.
What does that have to do with the contractual agreement that you stayed for 2 hours after you got paid $300? You want to keep the $300 after only working for an hour?
Yes.
That's not going to happen. Not up in here.
I understand.
Not today.
I understand.
So is that it? Anything else?
No.
Based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel comes down in favor of the plaintiff. You didn't put things in writing with Richard. You saw how that went down. You have a contractual relationship in this situation. You didn't live up to your obligation. The very thing that you're complaining about with Richard is the very thing you did to Mr. Freeman. You know what that feels like.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Now, are you getting $300?
Yes.
That's a no. Are you entitled to $150 for the hour? That's reasonable. And that will be your judgment. That is the order. Case closed.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the plaintiff. The defendant has been ordered to pay $150.
It's an unfortunate event, but I think it's a fair judgment, and I wish all the best to Mr. Roy. I still think he's a talented artist.
I'm bummed I have to pay the rest of the money, but the judge was right, so the next time